The best advice I ever received is...
turn nerves into excitement. Well, I don't actually know if Christian Bale did say this, but the quote is, if you have a problem with me, text me, and if you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me.
That is so good.
And he's my security. I'm like, Jack, we gotta get back to the hotel, bro. There's never been a recorded tack in the wild. A touch. At least I can say I jumped in. Any stress just dissipated, and it was just this unbelievable. But the other day, we went swimming with killer whales in Mexico. I said the other day, it was last year. And it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. There's no proof of it, there's no evidence, because it was so off the cuff, we weren't planning on doing it. So most people I tell are like, you definitely didn't do that. But we were in Mexico, and we were on a boat, and we just so happened to see this pod of orca. Jack, my security guard, thought it'd be a good idea to jump in. He jumped straight in, flippers on, goggles on, and we were driving to keep up with the whales because they were kind of following our boat. So by the time Jack had jumped in, he was like this. He was like 100 meters away, and you could see him, and the whales were like swimming around him. So I'm starting to freak out because he's a good friend of mine.
And he's your security guard.
And he's my security. I'm like, Jack, we gotta get back to the hotel, bro. So I said to the guy, like, excuse me, sir, can you turn around and go and get my friend? Because we now can't see him anymore. Like, he's gone. We found him, we got him back in the boat, and he sort of said, like, lads, you have to get in. It's unlike anything you've ever seen before. My brother Harry's like Googling whether or not it's safe to swim with them. And it's sort of, the general consensus online is don't go swimming with killer whales. You can, there's never been a recorded tack in the wild, but they are wild animals.
There's no one
They're
to
also
report.
as big as a bus. And also, Jack's giving it like, don't worry, Tom, I'll be there, I'll look after you. I'm like, Jack, what are you gonna do, bro? Like, what's this whale decides to eat me? So anyway, we put the flippers on, put the goggles on, we find the whales, they're sort of interacting with the back of the boat, they're clearly curious, and I just thought like, I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I just, like many Brits, had a very, very boozy December. Christmas time, I was on vacation, I was drinking a lot, and I've always been able to drink a lot. I think I get my genes from my mum's side in that thing, like I can drink. And I decided to just give up for January. I just wanted to do dry January, and all I could think about was having a drink. It's all I could think about. I was waking up thinking about it, I was checking the clock, when's it 12? And it just really scared me. I just was like, wow, maybe I have a little bit of an alcohol thing. So I sort of decided to punish myself and say, I'll do February as well, I'll do 2 months off. If I can do 2 months off, then I can prove to myself that I don't have a problem. 2 months go by, and I was still really struggling. I felt like I couldn't be social. I felt like I couldn't go to the pub and have a lime soda. I couldn't go out for dinner. I was really, really struggling. And I started to really worry that maybe I had an alcohol problem. I guess it goes back to what you're saying, the mode of ignorance. I just was like, I'm gonna try it, see what happens. I jumped in, my brother jumped in, Jack jumped in. We kind of came together. We're 30 miles out of the coast, so it's literally like dark blue water, nothing below us. And to my relief, the whales had gone. We couldn't see them. So I'm sort of thinking, oh, well, that's actually a bit of a touch. At least I can say I jumped in and they have gone. But then Jack said, look down. And we looked down, and it came from beneath us. And what has been such an interesting experience for me was as soon as I saw the whale, I wasn't scared anymore. Because I could just tell that it wasn't going to eat me. I don't know how to explain it, but you could just see from its body language. I remember it so vividly. It swam up to us. It was maybe 10 meters below us, and it was kind of motionlessly sort of just looking at us. And then it kind of rolled on its back. It did this weird thing where it kind of put its head like this, and you could see its eye. Like, we were having this crazy like moment, and then it just swam off, and it was gone. And then for 3 hours afterwards, I couldn't speak. I had the biggest adrenaline dump. I just basically was asleep. But it was such an amazing experience to sort of meet the apex predator of the world, and it kind of look at you and just swim away. Most people don't believe me because
I believe you.
There's no evidence, but it was, I think about it now, and then do you know what's so funny as well? I see these, like our planet, there's more footage of orcas hunting, and another way in which they hunt. There is no way I would do that again. There's no way I'd get in there again. But But yeah, it was amazing.
man. Hearing you explain it is like, you're so present.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that you were so present in that moment. Like you stop thinking about like, oh, well, you know, if I tell this after, then no one's gonna believe it or whatever it is. You're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, nature makes you present like that.
And that's what I love about nature, is it's completely unbiased as well. Like if that whale wanted to have a snack, then, you know, it's not looking at you going, oh no, but that's a famous person, I've got to leave him alone. Or it just, you are at one with Mother Nature. Yeah. We're in the middle of the ocean, there's nothing we could do. And we just were able to enjoy it, somewhat maybe like being in the cave, like you were saying. It was just about us and this whale. My brother and I were holding hands, but then as soon as it presented itself to us, any stress just dissipated.
Yeah.
And it was just this unbelievable experience. And it was so leveling, it was so humbling, that it makes me feel like I can take on certain things. So it was, honestly, even thinking about the experience now, my heart is racing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
wild. Yeah, it was.
Chris Hemsworth gave me some really good advice after we shot Heart of the Sea, and then once I got cast, he sent me a really lovely email about just make sure you keep your feet on the ground and you don't let this affect you. You keep your family and your friends close, and that's exactly what I've done. I brought my best friend with me.
I mean, the only way to prepare is to ask people like Chris, what did you do and what would you have done differently, or how should I approach this? But I think the important thing is just to take it one step at a time. I think if you rush into fame, then that's where it can be really affecting. And if you take it for granted, it can be really affecting. But I love this job and I love working so much that I think I'll continue to work and won't sort of acknowledge the fame side of things, really. To play a character as brave and as strong as Thomas Nicholson was exciting, because I always like a challenge, and I always feel like if it's not a challenge, then you shouldn't really do it, because you're not going to learn anything.
But yeah, no, it's great. But then Robert gave me some very sound advice when I did my screen test. Obviously, as you can imagine, I was pretty terrified. And he came up to me and said, look, I felt exactly the same as you did when I did my test for Iron Man, but just relax, let your body take over, and if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And here we are today.
The preparation is what really made this movie. It wouldn't have been possible without the preparation that the cast did, the crew, and also, of course, Ron. A film of this size deserves a crew that are going to work as hard as possible, and it deserves a director as skillful and as amazing as Ron. But the preparation sort of started with reading and looking into the history and finding out what it is that these men went through just to be a whaler. This is before we studied the sort of weight loss and being emaciated. We then physically had to get into shape and go to the gym, which was great fun for me. It was a whole collection of things, really, that made us well-rounded sailors in a way. And that whole process brought us all closer together and made filming a lot easier. I guess the hardship that we went through to make that film was also a massive help, because this film was also incredibly difficult to make. And because the impossible was so hard, I think it made this one a little bit easier. When you're working with people like Chris and Ben and Killian, you just have to watch and learn. You don't have to ask for advice, because they're doing what needs to be done. To do justice to what these men went through and to make sure that we made a real film that audiences could really experience, to me it almost felt like if I wasn't trying my hardest and if it wasn't incredibly tough, then I wasn't doing it right. One of the amazing things about being an actor and working in movies is that you get to learn a new skill. And then when you do have to learn a new skill, they always get the best teachers and you get the best advice and the best help. So we're very privileged as actors to be given that opportunity.